When you have been emotionally exhausted for too long, intimacy can start to feel impossible. You want the closeness, but the thought of giving more feels like another demand on an already empty system. And yet that closeness is what your heart is aching for. So how do you rebuild intimacy when you have nothing left to give? Hello, beautiful wise women. I'm so happy that you're here for this one. This is a question I get asked a lot about. So first things first, yes, emotional exhaustion changes the way that you experience love. It's not that you stop caring, it's that your body actually can't access the softness that connection requires. You're still showing up, still trying, and there's a numbness or a defensiveness that's settled in. And this numbness is your body's way of saying, I've been giving too much without being filled. I'm empty. So intimacy then becomes another task. When you've been the emotional backbone for your marriage for too long, intimacy often shifts from something you desire to something you do. You smile, you touch, you say the right words, but it's mechanical. Inside you feel unseen and your body interprets closeness as pressure, not pleasure. You might even start to think, maybe I'm just not an intimate person anymore. And that's maybe true and unlikely to be true. It's plausible you're just disconnected from the version of you who once felt safe enough to be open. Disconnection doesn't fade because you've disappeared from the relationship. It's often because you've been tuning into everyone else's needs that you can't hear your own. And when your nervous system stays in survival mode, there's no capacity left for curiosity, play, or sensuality, all of which are the language of intimacy. And so here's an uncomfortable truth. You can't rebuild connection with your partner until you are reconnected with yourself and you've reconnected with what I call your heart print. Because your partner can only meet you where you are, not where you were before you hit burnout. Reconnecting through regulation and curiosity. So what does rebuilding intimacy actually look like when you're emotionally exhausted? Well, it begins with slowing down. Not pushing yourself to get back to normal. It begins with gently rebuilding trust between your mind and your body. When you start to feel grounded again, even in small moments throughout the day, your body begins to reopen to connection. Not because someone else fixed it, but because safety has been restored by you from the inside out. Let's do an analogy. I want you to think of intimacy like a garden. After a harsh season, the soil becomes dry and compacted. You don't rush to plant new flowers right away. You start by tending to the soil, watering it, loosening it, and letting it breathe again. That's what emotional healing does. It softens the ground so something beautiful can grow again. From performance to presence. True intimacy doesn't come from effort, it comes from presence. It's not about performing love or proving connection. It's about feeling safe enough to be seen as you are. When you rebuild intimacy through presence, your partner begins to respond differently. Not because you're doing more, but because your energy has changed. So your first steps are to reconnect with your body, spend a few minutes each day noticing your breath, feeling your heartbeat, feeling your tension in your body. Your beautiful body must feel seen before it can open. You need to redefine intimacy. For now, intimacy might mean eye contact, shared laughter, or a hand on your shoulder, not necessarily sex. Let it evolve slowly. Communicate your capacity. Say, I love you and I need to rest before we can connect. This honesty invites partnership. It invites someone to understand where you are, and it doesn't break connection. Inviting softness, not pressure. Choose moments of warmth that feel like cooking together. Perhaps it's slow mornings, shared silence. Celebrate small openings. Every moment of closeness counts. Healing intimacy isn't a switch, it's a return. One safe moment at a time. Rebuilding intimacy after emotional exhaustion isn't about getting back to who you were before. It's about meeting who you are now with compassion, restoring yourself safely so that love has space to flow again. And when a woman reconnects with her own body, her own energy, her own rhythm, and her own heart print, the intimacy she creates becomes deeper, steadier, and far more real than anything that came before.